All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the psychology behind women who actually choose to be alone. And the whole point here is to reframe this choice, not as some kind of social failure, but what it often is, a really powerful sign of emotional maturity and, honestly, a deep need for peace.
You know who I'm talking about, right? You've seen her. That woman in a coffee shop, totally content by herself, just sipping her drink, not glued to her phone, not looking around for anyone. And you can almost feel society collectively looking at her and wondering, what's her deal? Is she sad? Is she lonely?
And these are the labels that just get slapped on, right? She's cold. She must be sad. Oh, she's too independent, as if that's a bad thing. But the number one assumption, the one that almost always comes up, is that she has to be lonely. But the truth? Well, the truth is usually a whole lot more interesting than that.
So, let's push past all those tired myths and actually look at the psychology here. Because choosing to be alone, it's often not about a lack of options at all. For so many women, it's a profound, necessary act of self-regulation. Okay, this is so important to understand. The American Psychological Association draws a really clear line in the sand here. Solitude is just the physical state of being by yourself. That's it. Loneliness, on the other hand, is that painful feeling of being disconnected. You can feel desperately lonely in a packed stadium, right? But you can feel completely whole and at peace in solitude. One is a conscious choice you make for relief, and the other is that awful ache you feel when your social needs aren't being met.
For a lot of women, and this seems to be especially true after 40, time alone isn't a sign of sadness. It's essential self-care. It's how you decompress from the constant noise of social expectations, the mental load, the emotional heavy lifting of everyday life. It's basically giving your nervous system a chance to finally breathe.
And this just nails it, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. The second you're truly alone, the performance can stop. You can drop the masks, you don't have to please anyone, you don't have to manage anyone else's feelings. It's just quiet. It's a return to who you actually are underneath it all. And you know what? There's even a scientific theory for this whole shift. It's called Socio-Emotional Selectivity theory, which is, a bit of a mouthful for something we all kind of feel in our bones. As we get older, we realize our time isn't infinite, and suddenly our tolerance for pointless small talk and superficial hangouts just plummets. We stop collecting acquaintances, and we start investing in real, deep connections. It's not about being antisocial, it's about being incredibly selective with our most valuable asset, our energy.
So we've got the science down. Now let's try to paint a picture. What does this choice actually look like in the real world for a woman who truly values her own peace?
You can really see her emotional maturity in these quiet little ways. She doesn't feel the need to write a 10-page essay justifying why she needs a night in. She's not terrified of a pause in conversation. She doesn't feel the need to fill every empty space with noise. She stops RSVPing yes to things out of guilt. She starts pruning those draining relationships from her life, and she learns the huge difference between getting attention and having a real connection. And all of this, really, it all comes down to having clear, healthy boundaries.
Oof, this one is powerful. Because solitude, it gives you the mental space to see your relationships for what they actually are, not what you've built them up to be in your head. It helps you gently let go of the fantasy, and that, in turn, brings this incredible sense of peace. To make this all feel a bit less abstract, let's walk through a story. We'll call her Catherine, and her journey from being buried under social pressure to finding personal peace, it illustrates this whole process perfectly.
So for most of her life, Catherine was that person, the reliable one, the one who was always there, always ready to help, always saying yes to every invitation, mostly because she was afraid of being seen as boring or unfriendly. She was just constantly available. But on the inside, she was running on empty. And this wasn't the kind of tired that a good 8 hours of sleep could fix. No, this was a deep, soul-level exhaustion. It came from constantly pouring her energy out for everyone else, without ever taking a moment to refill her own cup. And then, one day, she hit a turning point. It was a Saturday. An invitation came in, and she just said no. No big dramatic excuse, just a simple choice to stay home. And she rediscovered these quiet little rituals. Making tea, the simple act of dusting a shelf, the sound of her favorite album, just filling the silence. And the feeling that washed over her was shocking. It wasn't loneliness, it wasn't emptiness, it was lightness. It was like a weight had been lifted. And that's when she had this huge realization. So many of her social activities weren't about connection at all. They were about pressure. For Catherine, solitude wasn't a rejection of the world. It was a recovery for her soul. Okay,
We have to be crystal clear about this next part, because it's the most important distinction we can make. Healthy, chosen solitude is not, I repeat, not the same thing as painful isolation. And the critical difference, the one thing that changes everything, it's choice.
And the research on this is completely solid. When being alone is a choice, people report having less stress and feeling more in control of their lives. It feels restorative, like a spa day for your brain. But when being alone is forced on you, when it becomes isolation, that's when it leads to more loneliness, less life satisfaction. It feels painful. It feels empty.
So you might be wondering, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually practice this healthy solitude without accidentally tipping over into isolation? Well, let's break it down into 4 pretty simple practical rules.
First, be intentional about it. You're not hiding from the world in your solitude. You're using it as a tool to restore yourself. Second, nurture your key connections. This is all about quality, not quantity. 1 or 2 people you can be your true self with are worth more than 100 acquaintances. Third, and this one is vital, watch for the warning signs. If you find you're avoiding everyone because you feel hopeless or empty, that's not solitude anymore. That's a cry for help. And fourth, create gentle social routines, things that keep you connected to the world without totally exhausting you, like a weekly class or just a regular walk with a friend. And really, if there's one idea to take away from all of this today, let it be this. Solitude, when you choose it, is a medicine. It heals you, it restores you. Isolation, on the other hand, is a cage. It traps you. And the only thing separating the two is your intention.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to reflect on. Ask yourself honestly, do you prefer to be alone because it genuinely brings you peace? Or is it more of a shield, a defense you've built up because people have disappointed you? The answer to that question can tell you a lot. And understanding it, well, that's the first real step toward building a life that feels truly, authentically your own.